Okay, let's see. Getting folks up here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Pretty good. Can give people a few minutes here to trickle in.
Absolutely, absolutely. You guys are prompt. I love it. This is great.
Yeah, gotta be on time.
Anything you can do to get an edge in the DeFi space these days, and being on time's one of them, I guess.
For sure, for sure.
Let's see. We got Michael. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Glad to have you with us today.
Yeah, excited to be on.
Yep. So I'm Kmets. I'll be hosting this from the Ateam account, just so you guys know who you're talking to.
Cool.
And then the DeFi advisor, he will be jumping in here as well here shortly.
Sounds great.
There he is. DeFi advisor. I'm promoting you to co-host. There we go. DeFi advisor, how you doing, sir? How are you, Mr. Advisor?
Might not be.
Hello, sir. What's up?
There he is.
Yeah, I
There
think
he is.
it only worked connected now.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Nice to see everyone on. How are you?
Hello, hello. Doing really well. It's just firing on all cylinders on a bunch of different areas. We're in audit now, so doing that, getting some more heavy like project management, practices in place for the team. Uh, we're gonna get a new site. We're gonna get a new site up in probably this week. So that's pretty cool. Then planning out like test net. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff in parallel, but it's been good.
The normal life of a diligent DeFi builder, you say?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's been awesome, honestly, getting this into audit and stuff and actually getting eyes on it from like people that I respect in the space. So, we're working with Trust Security. I don't know if you guys know them, but that's basically Trust 90 and with Zach O'Brien working with us on that. So those two people been like top of the Code Farina competition ladder for like the last year and change and have done like a ton of hacks, to like save people's funds and stuff. So I mean, they've been awesome to work with. So it's been really cool getting like feedback on what we built, and that they're kind of impressed and excited to keep working on it. Although it is a huge code base, so there's a bunch of small things to fix too, by nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. I tell you what, we've given some folks, we've got a few folks here that are listening in, and we can kind of go ahead and get this thing kicked off. So welcome everybody to this Twitter space with the Aladdin DAO A team and the Curvance team. So this is your buddy Kmets hosting this thing, and my co-host is DeFi Advisor with the A team. And we'd like to just welcome everybody from Curvance. Say hello, DeFi Advisor.
Hello, folks. Nice to see everyone here. Happy to be on another space and to have another impressive team for a chat to learn more, to learn at least a bit about Curvance and what they're doing, how they started, where they're aiming at, and maybe even get to some alpha and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all going to be pure alpha, right?
For sure. I mean, we haven't really put out a ton of information out just yet. We've been stealth building for like over a year now, and it's taken absolutely forever to get everything we wanted finished because it keeps like it's been a moving goalpost. We probably could have gotten this out 6 months earlier if we started with the original scope, but it just kept kind of growing and growing and growing. And Mike can definitely talk on what the where we started and kind of where we're at now. But yeah, it's been one of those pieces that now we're actually like starting to talk to people
Yeah.
about like what it can do and everything, and we're super excited about that because we built pretty much all of the technology in house. I'd say about like 93% of our code base is written from like literally from scratch. There are a few parts that like are just conventional pieces that people are familiar with, like we use a little bit of compound V2 in certain areas, but we rewrote basically 90% of compound, and then everything else is also from scratch. So all the position vaults, all the functionality, all the new kind of quality of life things, all of that's like kind of fresh, and we're going to be open sourcing some of that too, like our new Oracle system to help with all the like curve, convex, exploits that we see like once a week. But I'll hand it over to Mike to kind of talk about, kind of where we started and where we are now.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Can you guys introduce yourselves real quick and just sort of who you are on the team with Curvance?
Sure. Mike.
You want me to go? Okay. Hi, I'm Mike. One of the co-founders of Curvance. I lead up strategy and I work on the BD side pretty heavily. Also manage some front end stuff, design, creative, branding, stuff like that. But yeah, I'll let Mai give a little intro and then I can talk about our origins and stuff.
Great.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Mai or Chris, whichever you prefer. I jumped on soon after Mike came up with the idea, and the other co-founder, and I've been acting as like CTO, and have built a lot of the technology myself, as well as managed the engineering team and some other parts of the business over the last year and change here.
Fantastic. You're just the guys we want to have on. And then yeah, that's terrific. Well, we're really excited. So Michael, go ahead and kind of give us the background on Curvance here, because I actually was looking the other day to see how long I've been in your Discord, and I was like, man, I've been in their Discord for a while now. You guys have been around for a bit now, and it's exciting to kind of see things kind of get in motion here.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a common theme. Like like Chris said, it's been just a moving goalpost with the scope, and of course we kind of could afford to do that as well. The markets weren't in the best of shape, so it wasn't really like a huge rush to get everything out right away. Like when it first started, like when I first came up with the idea, I was literally like shortly after Convex came out, I migrated a bunch of my portfolio to CVX CRV. And I was just farming it. And prior to that, I had been using just various lending protocols to borrow against my Ethereum, and then go play in like all the food tokens and, all the crazy DeFi summer stuff. So like my strategy, like after I migrated a lot of my portfolio was like, why can't I borrow against this, or like some of these stablecoin LPs that are on Convex? I want to earn this interest rate and get my CVX tokens, but I also want to be able to go play with other stuff and like, kind of leverage my my portfolio a bit. So that was kind of like where the original idea came from. And the first kind of like release of Curvance was accidental, like in terms of like when we actually got attention. So it was just me in the very beginning. And I had just kind of gotten a brand name and some design assets made, and I was working on the first white paper. And I set up a Twitter placeholder, just to hold the thing. And in the description box, I think I put like lending for curve, convex, and urine deposits, or something simple like that. And then a couple days later, out of nowhere, Banteg from Urine found it. He followed us, and then it circulated through Degen Score and Lobster DAO. And so like literally overnight, I mean, we like Curve followed us and we got like 5,000 followers. It was like insane. And I'm sitting there like by myself, no engineers, no white paper, like post. This is actually a good thing.
This is kind of, can you give us like a time frame? Is this like kind of like fall of 2021 roughly?
That was end of November, early December 2021.
That was like the last gasps of the bull market when you could, I guess you could throw something like that together and get 5,000 followers overnight.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was a stroke of luck. And honestly, I'm really thankful that happened as much as it also kind of sucked because we couldn't deliver anything. Like I didn't even have any engineers or anything, like no game plan for this at all. So I couldn't like take anybody's money or do anything from that perspective because, that would just be wrong. I would be like, I don't know when I can actually deliver something. But it was good because it kind of opened up a lot of doors with, different founders and getting introductions to other protocols. And it really started to like allow us to expand that vision over time. Because, you start talking to other founders, looking behind the curtain, seeing like what's being worked on and, different deals that you can structure. It was just the best thing that could have happened to us. And then, over the course of time, we cycled through quite a few DAO contributors, just trying to find like the team that we have today, right? Which that's a process that a lot of people go through with startups. But I'm super proud of where we are right now and the team we have. I can't complain at all. I'm glad everything shook out the way it did. And, when Chris joined, he came up with some really unique stuff that hasn't really been done. So like he took the existing vote escrow model that we had mapped out and he basically turned it omni-chain and then removed fragmentation for the users. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So yeah, there's been some exciting kind of breakthroughs with him and other people that have joined the team, just pitching in and making something beautiful.
That's really cool. So basically, in your words, like despite the fact that you kind of like launched the social media kind of on a whim, there's been like, while it's, you've sort of had to temper expectations a bit. There's really been no regrets in that regard. In fact, it was kind of a big bonus in terms of getting established in the space for a new protocol. I'm curious if you had to do it all over again, or if like if another DAO was sort of like asking for recommendations from you, like would you tell them to follow the same strategy, or would you give them like different advice? I'm curious.
Well, I don't think it was I don't think it was a strategy. I think it was more so just like, taking what I got and running with it. There was never a moment in time since the time I came up with the idea for this until today that I've ever like wanted to just quit, right? There's never been a moment where it's like, we're not going to make this happen. And there's been a lot of things. I mean, we survived. We lost a ton of investors after the Terra Luna collapse, and then after FTX collapse, right? And we just kept chugging along, getting hundreds of no's, and then finding those yeses, and then just keep the momentum going, building out the team more, expanding it, getting our engineers right. And that's Chris's handiwork. And it continues to this day to just continuously improve. And Chris mentioned in the beginning of the call, like we're even restructuring like the internal process for managing the actual project, like getting it ready for scale if we need to, getting proper KPIs in place, different things. But if I had to go back and do everything again, I mean, I've learned so much on this journey is what it is. There's quite a few things I would do differently, right? Like I think now there's like a very clear kind of approach. And one of those things is the marketing aspect. It's like if you catch lightning in a bottle, you have to run with that, right? Because like it's not something that's super easy to curate unorganically or organically, I guess. So, if you're a new project and you have some momentum, just run with it full steam. Don't stop. Don't look back. Get your round closed. Get your team right, and just keep chugging. For us, it was definitely an elongated journey, but like I said, I'm happy with the way it turned out. And I'm happy that I didn't take a bunch of money in the very beginning because I think that would have screwed me, right? Having all these delays and like kind of expanding the vision, we would have almost been forced to push out a mediocre product in my mind.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed as I've kind of followed you guys from afar is your transparency with the community in terms of setting those expectations. It's really been pretty admirable to watch you guys kind of communicate with them and still interact with them. Everybody's just been kind of like watching from afar, and um, now I guess the launch is close at hand, and so we're pretty excited. So Chris, Mike, can you kind of speak to sort of how you kind of got involved with Curvance?
Sure, yes. I met Mike through a mutual connection that I had been working with in kind of a lot of different capacities in DeFi, just kind of helping out on stuff. We had kind of worked together on sharing notes for like Solidity's, skills and, kind of our ideas for the space and what we were interested in doing and, various things we've seen. And, he just really liked this. This guy was one of the original contributors to Chainlink for the actual like Chainlink product, the Oracle system. And, I kind of, then got introduced to Mike and we really hit it off in terms of synergy and such. And, I jumped onto the role. I'm actually pretty, I would say, newer to crypto than other people. I mean, I know people are like, oh, it's like, 2021 and people are veterans, right? But in the grand scheme of things, my background is in traditional finance. I'm by trade what people would call like a quant. So I do a lot of work with like statistical models, machine learning, stuff like that. Like one of the things I was doing prior was I built a systematic trading algorithm at a volatility hedge fund for merger arbitrage. And then I went into like a large mutual fund company and, built out a lot of like kind of analytics tools and research on basically optimizing trades. So like very different than kind of like just falling, into crypto. And I taught myself Solidity and I volunteered at a bunch of DAOs and, built like a lot of kind of products that I thought were cool internally, but didn't really bring them to market or anything. It was like a lot of like kind of unfinished stuff that I was just happy to build. And then, kind of got in and saw like the idea of Curvance. And I was like, wow, this is a really good kind of like foundation to build a lot of like new technology on top of, right? So it started as this kind of like third layer on top of like Curve Convex, and it's like grown into like really a behemoth in scale. For reference, and I think I said this earlier in the call, but our first audit is about like people quote the stuff in source lines of code, just as like a standardization of lines of code. And ours is just under 9,000 for this first audit. And the average protocol size is about 2,200. So it's about 4 times the size of an average protocol right now. And there's still going to be more, assets to support and new features that we have in the final product. So it'll probably be closer to, say 10 to 11,000. In terms of like fresh new lines of code written. There's obviously libraries and things like that we've used. So, it didn't start there. So when I jumped on, I kind of inherited certain pieces of stuff and over time it's like, building the ship as you're sailing, right? So, we had like certain parts that, if you looked at what the code base looked like, a year and a half ago, or when I jumped on in May of last year, versus today, it's like completely unrecognizable. I mean, there were like some pieces that were just like literally deleted and written from scratch. And, I'm very happy with where we're at now. It's been, like Mike said, a pretty, extensive journey, kind of starting from like this very tiny team of ragtag, kind of contributors that were just working, almost like for the dream pro bono. And then now we actually have like a structured team of 10 people and, we're kind of firing all cylinders on a bunch of different avenues, not just on the engineering side, but also, now we're starting to look at like heavy marketing stuff, as well as applying for grants on various chains. We're in contact with like probably like 20 plus partners at this point, maybe more at this point. I don't have the exact number on hand, but we're pretty much in contact with almost every group that we want to be. And, the reception has been awesome because we've actually put on a number of, DAOs or DeFi protocols, their engineers on our repo to kind of like look at what we've built and, maybe any code that touches their stuff. And the feedback's been honestly incredible. Like everyone's been really, hopefully it's not just being kind, but everyone's been very impressed, with like what we put together. And that's been really, awesome to see. So, the goal is definitely to kind of like share a lot of that technology with the space and hopefully, have like everyone rise together with it. So a little bit more long-winded of just kind of how stuff happened, but there's some context.
No, that's fascinating. I always am curious, especially like in this market. Like you said, you came on like in May of 22, which is like, that's right when like Terra Luna imploded. So I'm sure that you were like,
Yep.
what in the hell am I doing getting involved in this? But it really kind of like just speaks to just you just put your head down and you build. And I think you guys are as launch is imminent for Curvance here, it really kind of speaks to that there's a lot of room for innovation and for protocols to get built and for people to do things. And so maybe now, DeFi Advisor, do you have any like follow-up questions or anything before we get into what Curvance is?
No, on the contrary, I think it's exactly where I hope we start getting to, because I'm pretty sure that many people listening and who will may listen in the future, like, guys, what's the simplest way that you guys have to what Curvance is? Maybe you can start by saying what it was supposed to be at first and how it developed into being what it's actually is, what it actually is now when you choose to launch it, and like what issues are you aiming to solve, like what's the big news about having your new protocol in town, as they say?
Sure.
You want to talk on this, Mike, and then I can go on the technical side after?
Yeah, so I can take first half on you. So what it was supposed to be originally was just a lending protocol for Curve, Convex, and Yearn. That was basically like the simple elevator pitch. It was like, hey, here's a need. We're going to build a protocol to fill this need. Since then, it has expanded into a behemoth, as Chris mentioned. We now are supporting multiple protocols across multiple chains. I think out the gate, we're looking at Convex, Aura. So we have like Aura Bao, Velodrome, and Pendle. And then we have a lot more planned, like in terms of integrating and adding post-launch. But the biggest innovations, I would say, really are with how we structured the omni-chain stuff. We essentially removed fragmentation entirely for the user, which we haven't really seen done yet. Like one of the biggest pain points, if you're an existing DeFi protocol and you want to launch on a new rollup or something, and there's incentives to do so, say Polygon wants to give you a grant to go launch there, it's like, cool. But what usually happens is you immediately create fragmentation because now you have two instances that aren't really talking to each other. With Curvance, we built something where it's, you can lock on any chain as a user. You can lock on Arbitrum, Polygon, Scroll, Base, whatever, Ethereum. And with that, you can vote on any other chain. So like you could vote for a pool that's on Arbitrum if you're locked on ETH and vice versa. And then also on the reward distribution side, you as a user receive all the fees accumulated from all the chains, right? So like you don't have to worry about now, I have to lock on Ethereum because that's where the most liquidity is. You can lock on Polygon, get better gas fees, and still benefit from Ethereum's liquidity, which that's like very important. And it's opened up a lot of doors. And I talk about this a lot, but one of the big things is kind of how do you get the biggest players in the Ethereum space to use your protocol, right? We've seen with Curve and Convex how effective it can be when protocols are buying into your governance system. But imagine if like all these $1 billion plus valuation roll-ups and stuff are now able to participate in a meaningful manner. So like one of the things is like being able to transfer your lock to different chains, lock up on whatever chain. It's a really good value prop for roll-ups, right? If we approach Polygon and we say, hey, if you give us a liquidity incentivization grant, we'll incentivize our users to lock up new CVE and migrate their existing locks to Polygon. And what that's going to do is every epoch or every 2 weeks, you're going to generate new transactions, which is revenue for you. Plus Ethereum, that's how we distribute our rewards, will be sent to Polygon for those users to claim. So you're not only locking like token TVL there, you're generating new additional TVL every epoch, which is very, very important, right? Because it's like one of the main pillars for a roll-up when they're doing these liquidity incentivizations. Liquidity is super important. Transactions are super important. New users are super important, right? So that's I think that's like the biggest thing. I'll let Chris go into like some more details on the technical side and kind of other areas that we've innovated, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the key things here is also like quality of life and efficiency. So we've done a lot of cool stuff in terms of like how to structure the lending market. There's been a lot of different implementations. You have like stuff like Compound V2, Compound V3, Aave V2, Aave V3. You have stuff like Silo Finance, and obviously there's been some of these other protocols that now got hit with hacks like Sturdy Finance, and list goes on for those, obviously. And we built some really cool tech around like basically minimizing risk, but not minimizing capital efficiency. So what I mean by that is usually the two strategies are you either have like every asset kind of like with its own pool, or you have all the assets together, right? So that's like the example I use is like Aave V2, where everyone was panicking with Mitch's big loan because they're like, oh my God, this is going to affect all these other, depositors, right? And then the other side is something like, maybe Fraxland, where every pool is isolated. And our model is neither of those. It's kind of in between. So basically, each ecosystem will be completely split out from one another. So like you're not gonna, as like a Curve Convex person, you're not gonna have any risk exposure to say Aura or Pendle Finance stuff. But at the same time, even those ecosystems are gonna have like smaller little pools of markets. So what I mean by that is like maybe you have like a stable coin focused pool. So you have like a 3 curve, versus like USDC Frax and things like that all pulled together, but that's in a separate market than say Curve ETH or some of the more like speculative stuff, like CVX ETH, like volatile tokens versus stable tokens would probably be the easiest way to break that down. And the reason we did it that way is it lets you get way more bang for your buck, right? So like if you have a bunch of CRV USD, you can basically put it in the market and then you're lending to multiple pairs at once without like any additional risk, basically. So, if you have say 3, 4, 5 assets paired together and you put your, like whatever your Frax in there, well, now you're lending against 5 different pairs, but you're not like so exposed in the sense of like an Aave V2 where one big loan potentially like screws over everyone, right? So you kind of like keep the good parts of both. We've also added like a lot of protective layers that totally break all of the hacks that we've seen. Is another piece, because I think security is like the most important thing for people. And no one wants to like touch any of these like newer, kind of lending market pieces. You see Aave having like the largest deposits across the board, and I think that's because people trust Aave, right? Like they know that like it's not randomly going to get hacked. Because of some like North Korean sophisticated hack that hits, based on, the latest price manipulation or whatever. Because it's basic in what it does, but it's very secure in what it does. And we want to basically capture that same confidence, but for like a different segment of assets, right? These more yield bearing assets rather than just, say plain ETH or wrap Bitcoin or whatever. So we've done a lot of things. We've built like this dual oracle system that has like a lot of protective mechanisms in it. So like if prices diverge really heavily, it pauses borrowing. If the prices are different, it's going to use the safer one for the protocol in both cases. So on the, if it's collateral, then it's going to use the lower price, right? If on one, kind of exchange, it's going to say your thing is worth $1, and another it says $1.03. Well, it's going to 3 cents. Well, it's going to value it at $1. And then on the stablecoin side, obviously they should be worth $1, but as we've seen, that's not always the case for stablecoins. So it uses the higher case for what you're actually borrowing. So on one feed it says $1, and the other one says that it's $1 and a penny. It's going to want $1 and a penny for those stable coins, basically. And if all those prices diverge, say, right now internally the number's 10%, but it might change, then it just pauses borrowing completely. And we've also added a time component, actually similar to what GMX's GLP does with a 15-minute minimum. So when you deposit into a protocol and into Curvance and you borrow against some stuff, say you put $1,000 of some LP and you borrow $500, well, you're not going to be able to pay down that loan or you redeem your stuff for 15 minutes, which shouldn't impact any actual users, but it totally breaks all of the flash loan attacks that we see hit all these protocols, because those all have to be basically executed in one transaction, so 0 seconds, and that's totally broken in Curvance, basically. We also have things like, we just saw Curve add their leverage option for CRV USD loans. We basically have that same thing, but it works for everything. So you can leverage up, you can leverage down, and you can do it on any pair. You can zap in from any token into any complex position. All that's handled under the hood. And it just makes it really easy for people that, they go to Convex and they're like, what the hell is this CVX dash, ALUSD dash Frax BP, and they're like, how the hell do I even get this thing? What am I doing here? It kind of abstracts away all that complexity, and then it makes it a lot easier for people to break into these spaces, into yield farming, and actually use things like Curve and Convex and Aura and Balancer without having to, look at some online, blog post breaking everything down, or some instructional video, or, whatever thread they find on Twitter. So I think it'll also reduce the barrier for entry for a lot of people. And there's a lot of pieces like that. We really went for quality of life over anything else, and security over anything else. So I would say those are the two biggest pieces for what people should be excited about, is really, really secure implementations of what people clearly want, because we clearly see these yield farming esque lending markets pop up, and there's clearly a heavy demand because they always see use. And it's clearly very dangerous tech, because we always see groups that maybe get one audit done and then just get slammed. We want to be the opposite of that. So we want to kind of be the first platform that people actually have confidence in for using that functionality and those opportunities.
Who's your number one target audience, you'd say? After your description here, is it retail, I'm thinking, or do you have other stuff in mind?
So I think it depends on what time you're talking about. I think day one, we're working directly with, a lot of DeFi native DAOs and protocols. Actually, our capital raise round, which will be announced pretty soon here, is led by DAOs. So we have Frax Finance is invested in us. Alchemix is invested in us. Tons of different DAOs and groups that are major, kind of black holes for liquidity. They're all, working with us to get this to market. And, I'm hoping that a lot of kind of the DeFi native individuals that have just a bunch of, CVX or Curve LP, stuff, they, see that everything's secure and that it's a value add, plus EV for them to integrate, Curvance into their workflow, and they move that liquidity over. I think that's day one, right? I think long term, the goal is going to be bringing new users in, like you said, retail, where a lot of people, everyone knows Curve and Balancer and all these things, but the average person has no idea how to like actually engage in this stuff, right? Like some people don't even know like how to like get into an LP token, right? So if we can basically make it so, you just buy some ETH on Coinbase or whatever, and then now you just have ETH and you want to like try out yield farming stuff, and you can do that on Curvance, in one click. I think that's really powerful, and it could like meaningfully expand the amount of people, engaged in these different ecosystems. And it also is more friendly to, these users because we have like built-in auto compounding on everything, which is another piece that I didn't even touch on. So, basically all of the deposits automatically, compound based on, we basically tap into Gelato Network's bot infrastructure, and they can basically run these off-chain bots that look for certain flags to then execute something. So that's essentially how we're doing all this kind of complicated stuff with the omni-chain gauge system, with the fees, with compounding and all that. And we've spent a lot of time, the way the vaults look today versus what they looked like a year ago is like totally unrecognizable. We pulled out like pretty much every stop on making them as good as possible. We use things like assembly. So like the lowest level languages, you could really use for smart contracts to make it really efficient. We're even like modifying like the bits to store multiple values in like tiny spaces to like save as much, gas as possible. And, we've just streamlined a lot of the operations. So rather than using like hard coded paths, it actually hits an aggregator and it finds the best deal for everyone every single time it's compounding. So some really cool tech on that front too. And I think that's another big piece for retail is like, for people that have used any yield farming stuff, especially on ETH mainnet, they've probably messed around with it. And then they're like, oh, let me claim my like CRV rewards. And then they see like, gas fee of like $57. And they're like, holy shit, like I have $200 in here. I'm not going to pay $57 to, claim this. It's like, 50 cents in rewards. So by removing that completely and kind of democratizing all of the fees, gas fees specifically, I think that's going to be another big value add for like onboarding retail, because now it reduces, if you have $1 million, you don't care if you're paying, $20 in gas or whatever. But if you have $1,000 or you have $100, you care a lot, right? So now everyone gets to kind of like share in that cost, and it ends up costing you, a penny every time instead of, $20. So yeah, long response, but lots of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, great response actually, and honestly, it does seem like a product that can be quite like I don't know the exact word for like can be quite exciting for some retail users, especially those who don't really want to do any complex stuff or complex digging into how to do and how to use existing protocols. If you can have like a set and forget and like a one-click solution for people who want to experiment with all kinds of interesting DeFi protocols, and you guys can create such a hub. That actually sounds kind of great, and definitely wish you guys a lot of luck doing it.
And I think, for you guys and other groups in the space, we've tried to make everything very kind of modular and easy to work with. So there's a big opportunity for, different groups to build on top of Curvance too. We don't really have any limitations on, what external parties can build on top of it. So, people can build their own strategies, leveraging up, leveraging down, kind of like arbitraging yields. You could basically do anything on top of Curvance as an external party. And I think, assuming people do like Curvance and it does see adoption, I think there's going to be a great opportunity for like external groups to then build like cool stuff on top of it.
Man, yeah, that sounds awesome. I know, Aladdin, our concentrator, compounder vaults, the A curve and the AFX. I know folks are pretty excited to, at some point, utilize those those assets for collateral and lending markets. So it sounds like Curvance might be a pretty good solution in regards to that, with how kind of universal you guys have built the whole system.
Yeah, and because we have our own gauge system, there's also the opportunity for then like compounders on top of the compounder. If people want to take the CV rewards and then compound those into the positions as well. I mean, there's a lot of pieces with this, and obviously, I don't want to bore people talking for like 2 hours here, but we also built this system. If anyone's familiar with Camelot on Arbitrum. We basically built the equivalent of like their nitro pools, but for kind of like more dynamic time periods. So what that means is people can basically set up their own gauge emissions on different pools. So like, for example, if there's like, some party, say Frax or whatever, that wants to incentivize people depositing on Curvance, they can basically set up their own gauge emissions for those pools, those positions on any market. So now you can not only get streamed rewards from CVE, but also you can get streamed rewards in FXS or whatever. I'm making that up. Obviously, they haven't confirmed anything like that, but that's possible. And then the other piece too is, we changed how gauge emissions work. We saw an opportunity where right now in VE systems, they just emit the tokens and then you can claim them and do whatever you want with them. You still can do that in Curvance, but we gave a secondary option where, probably the people that are most aligned with, the DAO are going to be the people that are like claiming their emissions and then blocking them, right? So we wanted to reward those people. So what you can do is if you get, say, 100 CVE in emission rewards that are unclaimed, you can choose to claim that as 100 CVE, or you can basically choose to instantly lock those and get an additional boost. So that's really good for like DAOs that want to participate in kind of like if there is like a CVE war of sorts, where now by claiming and locking those emissions all the time, you're getting like higher yields essentially because you're aligning with the protocol. And you're opting into that 1-year VE lock. So some pretty cool stuff there. People can maybe make wrappers for that, and then like have their own liquid wrap version of CVE, and or just compound the rewards back in. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to build different products on top.
And that's incredible. I'm pretty amazed at what you guys have built in just it sounds like a little over a year. Just out of curiosity, in terms of launch rollout, what are kind of the next steps right now that you guys are looking at?
So we're in an extended audit here period. It is obviously a lot of code, so audits take a while. We're kind of going a little crazy on audits because, again, we want everyone to be like super confident that there's going to be no security issues. So the current plan is basically to do 6 audits in total, 2 gas optimization and 4 security audits. We've done 1 gas optimization audit so far. We're in our like extended first security audit. So that, again, is with Trust Security. The second one will be with Code Farina. Third will be after we work with, hopefully, we've verbally confirmed working with Vectorized, if anyone knows him in the space, but it's not like legally confirmed or anything. Maybe he's too busy, or, he doesn't like us next month. Or something. I don't know. But, excited to work with him to kind of gas optimize stuff even more. And then we're going to do a re-audit of our tech plus the new asset support as security audit number 3. And then a 4th audit with Hats Finance. And we're also looking at like maybe doing another audit on the side with like some other group just to get more eyes on it, either additional solo auditors or, maybe like Trail Bits or something like that. That's unconfirmed. And, I think it'll make sense when we get there if we want to go through that path. But that adds a lot of time to the timeline. So, I don't want to like kind of overpromise here on timelines, but right now that first audit this first big one, security audit, ends October 2nd. If you figure 3 weeks for Code Farina, maybe 2 weeks for that additional, re-audit, say a few weeks for the vectorized audit, and the Hats Finance audit, you're looking at probably like early December. But again, I think it's going to depend on, where we're at that stage, right? So like, that's probably when all the audits and stuff are going to be done. And we're doing a test net in parallel for all this pretty soon, which is like an incentivized test net. So people can get airdropped call options on CVE. Then we go into our beta, and then we have the official release on multiple chains. But my expectation is probably realistically beta would be in like December, January, maybe, probably December. But I don't want to like put that on, I don't want to be held to that just in case some stuff, we end up wanting to polish something or refine something more substantial and needs to be fixed. Just like kind of light timelines right now.
No, we totally understand with sort of like allowing yourself some flexibility. That is a lot of security audits and gas optimization audits, just to make sure everything is in order. And so totally understand that timelines are flexible. You're building in DeFi. I mean, there's a lot that could happen. You have to be fluid and flexible. So that's incredible. So it sounds like, so you guys will be launching on multiple chains. It won't just be like Ethereum and at first.
That's correct.
Wow. So
yeah, so the current plan is beta will be just Ethereum mainnet, and that'll be basically have almost like an extended airdrop, but rather than just like giving people tokens and then being like, okay, you have them, it's more like activity based, right? So like if people are active in the test net and providing feedback on the UI UX and stuff like that, they're gonna basically qualify for that first airdrop in tokens. And then the beta is basically the secondary airdrop period, which will be 1 month, and that'll be based on deposits. So it's like basically Curvance as normal, but instead of like the liquid CVE gauge system, it would be using our child gauge system, and it would be streaming people those call options in real time. So like if you put day one a bunch of assets in, and then you stay in for that full month, you're going to be maximizing your your call options from the beta launch there. So that's kind of the best way we found to like align with users. And again, obviously, like Curve and Convex hold a special place in our heart, and Ethereum in general. So like that's where we want to start. And then the official release, we're going to be on Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon ZK-VM, and then we're also looking at Mantle and Base. So everything's built super modular, so we can like sock it on a new chain in like a day's work, basically, instead of it being like a 6-month journey. So because of that, it makes us really flexible. But we don't want to just launch everywhere, right? We're in contacts with various teams. Like we're talking directly with the Polygon Foundation, Off-Chain Labs, Optimism team. I have a call tomorrow with the head of ecosystem at Mantle. And then, Base is kind of easy alignment because we're already supporting Velodrome's assets. So when Aerodrome goes live, it's going to work out of the box. So yeah, we're touching a bunch of different chains here.
Okay, that was a lot of alpha these last 2 or 3 minutes. So I can only recommend the audience to rewind it several times and listen through, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that you've shared there, Chris. And in a way, it kind of reminds me, Kmets, about the IFO that was held on Concentrator when Chris was referring to like the second phase of the airboat with the deposits. Do you agree?
Yeah, I like that. I think launching a protocol, bootstrapping it it's a challenge all on its own. And the concentrator IFO was it's very laid back and sort of less stressful. You don't have to worry about being directly in front of your computer. So, guys, what else do we need folks to know about Curvance here before we kind of start wrapping things up here? You guys have it sounds like you're going from zero to conquering DeFi in no time flat here. I mean, it just sounds incredibly innovative. What should folks be on the lookout for from you guys in terms of interacting with Curvance and with the team and DeFi in general?
Yeah, there's a few things. So like Chris mentioned, we have a new lander coming out probably this week. We're just going through like some last minute adjustments. There'll be a newsletter that people can sign up for on there. That'll be important because we're going to blast out kind of like before the testnet goes out, like kind of how to use it, how to qualify for the call options. So get yourself on there. We have a guild XYZ. You can get partner roles. That's another way to whitelist for the initial testnet. Testnet, we're trying to get up ASAP. We're going through like front end development right now. Like the designs are all finalized and we have a lot of it pieced together with the back end, but we're still working on that. But once that's live, that's when that kind of incentivized testnet begins, and that's when people can actually start using something. And there'll be feedback forms and different things. We'll structure a Galaxy campaign around that. Let people kind of get in there and give some early feedback so we can make any adjustments we need to make before that mainnet release. So I would just be on the lookout for the updated lander coming out very shortly. Sign up for that newsletter, and then when that testnet comes out, make sure you get in there and try it out, give some feedback, and good or bad, we want to be able to make improvements while we can.
I think the other piece there is around kind of like informational stuff. So two things. We're going to be, now that we're in audit and I'm not coding like 16 hours a day, I'm going to be working on like a bunch of long form content to kind of like break down how we're thinking about a lot of different things like token emissions, org emissions, Oracle systems, omni-chain, lending market forms, stable coins, like tons of literature that I think people be interested to read about. And then secondarily, we're also going to be open sourcing the dual Oracle. So I think that might be really interesting to like various projects that are looking to like support similar assets in different capacities, but have been really struggling, as we've seen, to support these kind of more complicated positions. We are obviously supporting, like we touched on here, Curve stuff, Balancer stuff, Velodrome stuff. We're working on adapters to like basically be able to price anything with this dual Oracle solution. So, we have like Uniswap v3 pricing. We're also going to work on one with Redstone Oracles. Obviously, we have Chainlink in there. So the idea is basically it's an all-encompassing solution for people that want to like price stuff. And I think that'll be really cool for like any DeFi team. So like if if you're a community member and like you see your kind of like whatever community you're a part of, looking to like add support for various assets, that might be really, interesting for those teams, to maybe like send them that or, notify them about that, because we're going to be open sourcing that. And obviously we're spending a crap ton on audits here. So it should be, knock on wood, secure and safe. And I think that'll help a lot of these teams and hopefully elevate the space. So, I would say, not only the actionable stuff, like Mike said, but also informational.
That's incredible. The open sourcing of the dual Oracle system. I know that would be something of interest to our recently launched FX protocol. We're using Chainlink oracles, but that sounds very useful and pretty cool. We'll have to take a closer look at that as for our DAO and for our products as well. I mean. I'm super excited for you guys. This has been a long time coming. I know you guys are, maybe the finish line is sort of coming into sight here, and so it's pretty cool to see another protocol not just come into the Curve ecosystem, but really bring a lot of innovation and gosh, expanding it even outside of the Curve ecosystem. It sounds like so. Really cool. So, DeFi Advisory, do you have any thoughts or questions to kind of close things out here for us?
Yeah, I was actually wondering if the guys have anything they want to maybe or are able maybe to already share about some of the upcoming collaborations. I don't know nothing about it, but I'm pretty sure you guys are planning something. At least from like what I can feel, I'm reading between the lines. And by you guys have been building for a pretty long while now, and I'm sure that you guys are probably connected. So if there's any kind of is there any kind of upcoming interesting collaboration that you guys are willing to hint at the moment?
I will drop some light alpha without giving any real details. We're already in talks of an authorized fork on another chain for Curvance, which would benefit our DAO after launch. And I'll just leave it at that. That's super bullish that people that have looked behind the curtain and seen it, already want to use it. But yeah,
that is more than enough, sir. More than enough.
Man, I haven't even launched yet, and our people are already chomping at the bit for it. That's incredible, guys. Well, I tell you what, we're super excited for you guys. I know Aladdin DAO. We're always keeping our eyes open, looking for new and innovative products, and it sounds like Curvance could be something that we could definitely integrate with Concentrator, with Clever, with FX Protocol, and we're kind of looking forward to digging into it. I don't think we'll fork it just yet, but it sounds like we'll just use the OG version of Curvance. But guys, we really appreciate you jumping on with us here today to discuss everything that you guys have been building for the last year and a half, and just kind of curious, any closing remarks you guys want to leave folks with before we close out?
Yeah, just thank you for having us. We're super excited to start getting some stuff out there for everybody to play with and really appreciate. We put a lot of time and effort into pretty much every aspect of this build, and yeah, thanks for allowing us to talk about it.
Absolutely.
It's fun jumping on. Thanks for having us.
For sure. Thank you guys for coming and sharing some stuff about your work and sharing your time with us. Definitely wish you a lot of success, and honestly, looking forward to see what you guys come up to. Because also I'm, I've been following you on Discord and stuff for definitely a while. I think that the stuff you mentioned earlier about not releasing a mediocre product too early, but really trying to push through and sharpen it and only deliver it once it's actually innovative and something that really separates you guys. I think it's a wise choice. I've been seeing it with some other protocols this past year as well, and hopefully you will feel it was the right choice as well. And honestly, definitely looking forward to maybe doing some kind of recap with you in a few months, seeing where you're at and how you've been finding your place in the whole thing we call Curve Federation, I mean Convex Federation. And honestly, also looking forward to finding out what some stuff that we can do together between the DAOs, Aladdin and Kmets. I think it can be mutually beneficial. And and finally, by the way, before I forget, Kmets, thanks again for another great space, another great job hosting. Really enjoyed these with you. And thanks to everyone who has been listening. Feel free to comment, ask, share. Let us know your thoughts about whatever's going on. Let us know who you guys hope we have on next. I think you're going to like some of the guests we have in mind for you guys.
Absolutely. Cool. Yep. So thanks everybody for hopping on. Michael, Chris, man, you guys are fantastic. You have just had your heads down. You're building. It's going to happen. Curvance is going to be pretty cool. I'm excited for it. I think everybody's excited for it. So keep on keeping on. Everybody, thanks for jumping on. If you missed a portion of this, it's recorded. We will share it again in our Discord and here on Twitter. So if you missed it, please go back and listen and hop into Curvance's Discord and poke around. It sounds like they've got a lot going on. Sign up for their newsletter. It sounds like they'll have a new lander here soon. So go and learn and teach some other folks about all the impressive omni-chain lending, built-in auto compounding, protective layers, everything that Curvance is bringing to the table. So we appreciate everybody listening in, and thank you again. Thanks, Michael and Chris.
Oh, thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, guys. Good evening. Bye.
Bye.